Okay, this time I'd like to open a public hearing for local law number 3, 2014, amending the use table within the town of Clermont zoning law. Mary, would you please read the public notice?
Yes, the Clermont Town Board will hold a public hearing on Monday, June 2nd, 2014 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall for the purpose of adopting local law number 3 of 2014, amending the use table within the town of Clermont zoning law. The purpose of this local law is to accurately reflect the permitted uses intended in the zoning law and to correct certain uses which were erroneously removed from the use table in a prior adoption of the revised zoning law. Pursuant to the foregoing, the town of Clermont hereby proposes adoption of this local law is necessary for the health, welfare, and benefit of town residents.
Thank you, Mary. Bob, do you want to say any more, a quick description of what that means?
Yeah, basically, there were 4 items that were left off the list of uses. How, I have no idea, but they were left out, and they should have been in there. Right? And it was home occupation minor, home occupation major, hotel motel, commercial lodging, and kennel/animal clinic. And we added some items for solar and wind power. And the last time we did an update to the zoning, and somehow the use chart, those items got left out. And we discovered it because somebody came in looking to do a home occupation and said, well, it's not in the list, but it should have been. So we want to put those back in.
That sums it up. At this time, I'll open the floor for public comment on this. If there's any comments, questions? If there's no public comment on this, I'll close the public hearing. Thank you. This time I'd like to call a regular meeting to order with the salute to the flag, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we get started this evening, we have this hedge path here from the Cancer Service Program tonight. She wants to make a quick presentation to the board, and so allow you to do that at this time.
Stand up, so I can
If you could just stand right over there, that'd be great. Thank you.
My name is Holly Hedgepeth from the Cancer Services Program of Clermont Green County. We offer free cancer screenings to men and women ages 40 to 64 who are uninsured or underinsured. That's for those who have high deductibles, can't afford their copays, or will never meet their deductible. It's breast, cervical, and colorectal cancer, and we can pay for all those screenings, and if you are diagnosed with cancer, our program also can help you pay for any treatments. And we have a transportation department that will take you to any treatments, even if it's out of state. And we do offer this to those who are underinsured because we are funded by the New York State Department of Health. And as far as the Affordable Care Act, some people bought plans with very high deductibles, $6,000 to $7,000, and they'll never reach those. And it's just the importance of getting screened early. Early detection, can help you live longer, healthier lives. And that's what we're here for. That's it. So I've left some information over here and up here, so if anyone has any questions, anyone have any questions about our program?
Anyone on the board have a question?
Who funds it? You said?
It's New York State Department of Health. It's funded by, but we are located at the Healthcare Consortium at 325 Columbia Street. It's the Human Services Building. The DA is in there, Mental Health, and Department of Health, and us.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for
certainly
having
appreciate
me.
you spreading the news around, the information, and hopefully people take advantage of that. So
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for having me.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. Okay. We'll move on to approval of prior board meeting, town board minutes, May 5th, our last board meeting. Anybody have any comments, questions, corrections with the minutes? Entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Mary, you want to start out with the clerk report, please?
Town Clerk's report for May. Games of chance, $20. Dog licensing, $61. Building permits, $375. Certificates of occupancy, $50. Community house donations, $100. Vital statistics, $140. Total check for the general fund, $746. Trust and agency for inspection fees, $250. Paid to New York State Department of Ag and Markets for dog surcharges, $22. Paid to the New York State Comptroller for games of chance, $30. So the total for May is $1,048.
Thank you, Mary. Motion to approve clerk's report.
So,
Second. All in favor?
Who's second?
Opposed? Carried. Mail review. We have a couple things.
I do. We were notified by Pine Plains School, which was a very nice thing, of the results of their vote on May 20th, the school board vote, and who was elected as on the board. So I thought that was great, gave us an idea if anybody wanted to see it from Pine Plains. I have the results here. It was passed. And they elected Heidi Johnson, Karen Orton, James R. Griffin, Susan Riley, and Tom Garrick. Then we have us.
He's got to get him to do something.
Hmm?
He leaves the supervisor position, he's got to do
Tom
something.
Garrick,
Supervisor
that's right.
Johnson.
Can't be bored.
No, good for him.
And the Hudson Valley Distillers, which is a new business in Clermont, right here on Route 9, just south of Route 6, is having their launch party. Join us as we celebrate the release of our first 3 spirits with complimentary tours, tastings, light fare, music, and fun for the kids too. June 28th from noon to 6 p.m. It's located at 1727 Route 9, and that's 6 miles north of Red Hook, if anyone's watching from down there. And it's very nice. Bob and I went for one of their tours, and it's very nice. I hope they do well. The Village Green Barbecue Committee is meeting on June 12th at 6 p.m. It will either be held here at the Town Hall or at the Community House. We're hoping to get more volunteers, more people involved in volunteering for the events that they hold, which are the barbecue, the Election Day dinner, the Easter egg hunt, and the Christmas program. So please come here on June 12th at 6. We need all the help we can get. Tuesday, tomorrow, June 3rd, is Grievance Day. The hours are 3 to 5 and 6 to 8 p.m. And that's all I have.
Good. Thank you, Mary. Correspondence to the web committee. First thing to ask, do we have anything that needs to be discussed or updated?
I don't think anything's come in. Last month.
Is there any comments or questions for the web committee? We have a question.
I noticed this week that we don't have the subdivision regulations on the website. I mentioned it to Mary, who said that it's because we don't have the material in digital form. But I think we could scan it, couldn't we, maybe?
I think we could. Yeah, I hadn't realized it wasn't out there. I
Yeah.
know we spent some time last year. A lot of it collated, but I guess we missed the subdivision.
Well, the zoning regs are there, but the subdivision regulations are not
Okay.
I think that's something you could, Mary, work with Evan, try to scan it in and get it on the website.
I can give him a copy. He can work his magic.
Very good. Thank you. Any other questions, comments for the web committee? No? Okay, move on to committee updates, reports. Ed? Comment?
Looked at the community building, looked at the work that needed to be done. We discussed as just prior to this meeting that we should get a lift to go up and inspect a cupola. I did not want to climb over the roof to actually view it by myself. So it does leak. We have witness of it, Evan. Got a picture of it leaking. So there is leaking going on there, and we need to address that. Other than that, I think the front of the building, the facade's in pretty good shape. Most of the siding's new. There's only maybe 6 or 8 boards that need attention. Whether they need replaced or just repaired, we won't know until scraping of the siding's done, and we'll have to handle it somehow. Other than that, until we get that lift, we'll, once we get the lift, we'll look at that cupola and wrap this up and put it out to bid.
Okay, we'll do that this coming month. We'll have Jimmy have the lift delivered, and we'll set up time you and I can go up and look at this. Between the two of us, we have enough experience in the field to determine what the problem is, and then we can certainly put the details in the bid format, get that out possibly next month, and then get some bids. Because we did budget money for the building to be painted on the 3 sides since the back was done last year. We want to get the other 3 sides done, so it's completely done within a 2-year period. Then we should be good for several years. So that's something we look into. A question?
The inside of the cupola, that screen needs to be checked.
Yes.
Birds, critters.
I put that in there.
He's actually got that in there, so that'll be one of the things to be addressed, and also the rafters in the top. So there's quite a bit of detail we'll be putting out for bids once we get the roof detail work. So.
You want a motion for money to spend to get the lift?
Well, I
Or
think
do that for the business, or?
yeah, we can
Take it out of the budget?
we can take it out of the operating. I can actually take it out of the buildings. I mean, that's what we budgeted money to do the repair work on. We'll take it out of the same buildings account. If we want to make a motion, it's probably less than $200.
Yeah.
So we get that motion if we want right now. That's not me.
Okay.
Want to make that motion?
Yeah, sure, so. A second. All right, so,
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Ed, for taking a look at that and writing this up. It's most of the details we need to get this going, so excellent. Okay, Bob?
yeah, the swings are in process to be shipped. The ship date is June 9th. Should arrive on the 10th or the 11th, and the shipper will call Jimmy the day before at 11, and they can come up with a time if they'll be here and unload. And we're going to get started on the installation of the border. And it's been marked out where they're going, oversized a little bit so there's room to put the border in. And kids have been pulling the stakes out. I've been over there a couple times and repainted the cross and put the stakes back in.
They're bored.
Huh?
Very bored.
Yeah. Well, you'd think they would want to have some swings so they'd leave alone. Anyway, we also are doing pretty well on donations. We've got enough that definitely, I think, for the swings and probably the bumper strips. We have another donation tonight that you probably mentioned that again, Ray, but Diane O'Neill, her company at Clermont Partners, has given us a donation. I'm sure you mentioned that in your report.
Absolutely.
And so let's move along.
Good. Perfect. Thank you. Evan? Anything you want to update?
There's not too much. The school budgets, I believe, for all 3 towns were passed last month. I don't think there's anything else that's coming to mind to say at this point.
And just since Pine Plain sent us a breakdown in the work on who was elected to the boards, Germantown did re-elect Don Coons, which was on the board for Germantown before, back on the board, and Jeremy Smith, which was a town board member, is now on the school board. So, and their budget, again, their budget did pass, everything went through their budget, so we didn't actually get a printout from them on that.
No.
But, good. Thank you, Evan. Chris, you have anything you want?
I think Mary covered most of the Village Green stuff, but if it's not too early, I'll just throw out that the Community Day is the 2nd Saturday of August. So it'll be the August 9th, just to get a little heads up in advance.
Yep, so people can plan around it. That's all right, thank you. Okay, old business, bridge update. I finally have some worthy information to update everybody on. The board, the committee approved the RFP going out for the design of the new bridge. It went out, we should have answers back. I believe the date was the 12th or 14th of June. The bid has been out, it went out last month, but we will be receiving bids back. and then the committee will decide to what we want to proceed with. If it's going to be a complete overall, it all depends on the numbers, because they're going to come back with a bunch of different scenarios, the different costs to go along with it, and then the board will decide at that point which avenue to go down. I think from the last discussion we talked about, it will be a full bridge replacement. The only thing we will be doing is probably not taking out the existing abutments. So that saves quite a bit of money. They think they are substantial enough to be left, but again, that'll be all in that report, the bids that come in. But it is moving forward. It is on the docket for a 2015 project. So, once we get the bids in, if we do approve it, it should be on the list for next year's replacement. So, and I'll keep everybody updated as this moves along, but it is moving in the right direction finally. The other next discussion I want to have is on the online tax bills. We brought this up last month. We had a presentation from Office of Real Property, came down with the treasurer, and we had our tax collector here asking us to consider putting the town tax bills online. We tabled it for a month, asking for any comments or any information from the public on how they felt for, against, or if they thought we should do this. It is a minimal expense. It's I should have the number from me, $835, something like that, for the initial cost, which would be in the county chargeback to your tax bill. It would not affect the town tax, would not come out of the town budget, but it's still funded by taxpayers, obviously, at Clermont. But it would be $835 for the initial payment, and $100 per year for a maintenance payment, which would be also the same exact thing in the chargeback agreement. I've had absolutely zero input from residents on this. Not one single person has commented for or against. I know Mary has discussed this and had, and talked to our tax collector, Joan Buser. She had, what, seven or eight requests that could have been handled if the tax bills were online, that she had to, either handle. They called here, she had to get a hold of Joan, they had to take care of it. So there is a need, I guess, for the tax collector, make her job easier, make the information more accessible. But again, I've heard from nobody else, so I'd like to put it out there for a board discussion and see how everybody feels about proceeding with this.
I've heard nothing else, and nothing came in through the website either. If we're only getting 7 or 8, I don't really know that it's worth it.
That's in a short time.
That was just like last month.
Last month.
Yeah, but this would be probably the busiest time as well, right? This month or a couple months before.
No.
Well, this probably goes on regularly because it's people that are real estate agents that are, handling house
Okay.
sales.
I was assuming it was.
I mean, that's one of the
Well,
things. that happens.
residents. It's residents, if they're applying for a loan, they have to get that information that they're paid. It's anyone that does a subdivision. When they go to file it, they have to show that their taxes have been paid, so they
Title
could
search company
require.
has to go through, verify the tax.
Lawyers.
There's a fair amount of volume, I would say. I had the biggest argument for the longest time with the county about putting all this information online. I lost this argument in the county, and that was years ago. We are the only town that does not have it on. As of this past year, Livingston was the other town. They actually voted to put it online now. We are the only town in the county that does not have it online. My concerns are not as great as they were once before, so I personally don't have the objection I had. I'm not thrilled about spending money that we don't need to spend, but if it's going to make everybody's life easier, and it's going to help our tax collector, I'm not opposed to it at this point. But again, I'll leave it up for discussion and see how the board wants to vote on it.
I'm still somewhat reluctant to spend money that the taxpayers are gonna have to pay to do something to make life easier for people that aren't gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm wondering if there's any organizations, realtors or whatever, realty organizations or banks that would make a grant to have it done. And then we would only charge the taxpayers the $100 a year maintenance fee, which that's spread over 800 parcels, so that's not that much. I mean, it's not a lot of money either way. But $800 is for something that we originally didn't want. And it's not benefiting, well, it is benefiting one of our employee tax collectors. And maybe the town clerk on occasion.
Mary?
Was it, does that $800, where we're gonna get $800 worth of service out of that? I mean, is it really gonna make things that much easier? I mean,
Well,
I don't think it's gonna save us any money by doing it. I mean, we're not gonna see any savings to pay for that. $800.
we haven't
It's
had
gonna
any
be more.
residents come and complain that it wasn't online.
some say, but I would say this, if she's mailing out a second copy or a third copy, you have postage involved.
That's it,
have
$100
other
of
things.
postage, I mean,
It's
It's-
very, well, 49 cents a piece, so if
But
you
it's
times
200.
900,
does she send out 200 extra copies as a result of this? That seems a stretch.
she sends them out when they haven't paid. So any that haven't paid, let's say in January, I think a second copy goes out to remind them, or at some point, she'll send a set, send another set. So it could be,
I
if you have
thought-
600 people that haven't paid.
I thought from the presentation that the extra paper was for her own record keeping and not for mailing out to people so much.
My assumption was that the tax bill would still be mailed out.
At the second, yeah,
Yeah,
if they
but-
haven't paid originally.
With the online,
That's
she would
what
be able to keep instead of having a separate,
Well, she does have to keep, she has to keep a copy, yes.
right,
It does
and with
go to
it's
the
online,
treasurer's
she
office.
wouldn't have to do that. So that was
But
the savings.
She
of
also
it.
sends out, I believe she sends out another copy to people that
But would
haven't.
that change if it went online?
She wouldn't have to. They could check it themselves. If they call for a copy, she can say, come on.
I don't remember that being brought up during the presentation, but
No, it may not have been about postage. It was just something that I thought, if she's gonna have to send out any further copies after the original mailing, it's.
what I seem to remember was that for the taxpayer, the experience was supposed to be exactly the same unless they wanted to go online. So I wasn't really expecting savings from the postage side.
Well, what we could do this. I mean, there's no emergency to do this. It's been like this for years. We don't have to act on this tonight. Why don't we hold it off? I just want to discuss again. Why don't we hold off till next month? Why don't I charge real property with the task of finding the grant to pay for this? And say, listen, can you look for this? Why don't you come up with this? If you guys want it done, bring it to us and let us know. And we'll see what they come up with.
I'm all for
I
it.
mean, one more month either way. And then if they can't, and we're absolutely can't do it, we'll consider it again, but we can do it next month. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay. Move on.
we're very conservative, aren't we?
All right, new business, mortgage tax revenue. I just want to let everybody know we got our mortgage tax payment in for first quarter. Actually, the first half of the year. We get 2 payments on the mortgage tax a year. It's listed in your deposits on the back attached. Came in under what we anticipated. Last year we received, I'm going to say, off the top of my head, I should have wrote that down, $45,000 in mortgage tax revenue. We budgeted 40 for this year. The first payment came in $11,715, so it's a little bit less than anticipated. The first payment usually is a little less. The second payment last year was $29,000. So if that came in, we'd be right on budget, but this payment was a little under last year's payment. So, you know, obviously it's just something to keep in mind that it did come in a little less than I was hoping for and anticipating. And on the other hand, our sales tax has been a little above, so, you know, it may wash out, but it's just something we'll have to keep in mind as the revenues as we go through the year. It is a little bit less than I was anticipating. So just want to point that out. So if you're going to refinance, please do so because we get a portion of that money back. So, water system quote. We've talked about this for years. Every year, you know, it's brought up and we're reminded when we have our Village Green barbecue. We have an issue with the well. We've always had to chlorinate it, clean it, have it tested because there's coliform in the well. So it's you know, you can't be used for drinking. And you know, when we have public events here, we have one well that feeds all 3 buildings: the town hall, or excuse me, the academy building, the town hall, and the highway garage. Every year it seems to be an issue, and what I'd like to do, when we talked about last year, budget time, we put money into the budget for getting a water system put on the well, where it comes in. There would be an inline ultraviolet light system, which would kill any kind of bacteria, and that would feed all the buildings. So I had a quote, we got a quote from Culligan Water Systems for a Triton 20 UV system, a 20 gallon a minute system to be installed by them. With installation, system installation, all said and done, $1,868. I did just pull up recently, this evening as a matter of fact, another company, Rainsoft, is the only other one I can find that's even in the business that's a professional insured business. They're down in Mayapack. Culligan is in Hudson. I certainly feel that Culligan is a well-known, well-reputable system name company. I would like to consider them as the sole source for our area, and I'd like that to put in the minutes that I'm saying that they're the only ones in the area that's insured, that's a reputable company that I would like to deal with, and I would like to approve the $1,868.
Did you ask Kaiser's? Did Kaiser's? I know Kaiser's does water treatment, I don't know about this particular.
I did not,
Just curious.
we just pulled it up to see who else is in the area, and, you certainly want, they sell the lights and services.
That I don't know. I know they do water treatment. I've used them to do water treatment for like hard water, with the different minerals. As far as the color form, I don't know. I can't say.
Because
for
they'll come
sure.
down, anybody can test it. They'll come
Yeah,
down
yeah,
and
yeah.
test it, to chlorinate, to clean the
Sure.
lines, they install this, and then they test it again to make sure it's obviously working. It would require once a year a bulb to be changed, which
Yep.
runs about $150, $160, I believe the bulb is. It's not cheap, but we do have a lot of people use the community building. We have the event once a year. We have other events, but I certainly don't want to have any issues with the water contamination. I feel very strongly that we should at least get this taken care of. I would like it done before we have our
Yeah.
barbecue in August. So.
And is this something that we might save money in the long run if we're paying for the water delivery? Or will we still have the water not?
Well, we won't have to. No, we still probably.
We have some sulfur in there, so I don't know if
With the
that's.
sulfur,
gonna be-
this will not do anything for sulfur. This will just
Yeah.
make sure there's obviously no bacteria in the lines. Sulfur would be a totally different filter.
So we'd probably still run the cost of using the bottled water.
Probably, yeah. Drinking, you can drink sulfur, a lot of people do. I personally don't like it. If you don't mind it, it won't hurt you, but it doesn't always taste the best, so.
Yeah.
But at least we know it's not gonna have bacteria. That's the main thing. We can't take a chance of having it. It seems to be an ongoing fight. I certainly think we need to do this for public safety. So,
Yeah.
I'd like to go ahead and award the bid to Culligan for 1868. We do have the money, like I said, budgeted in the buildings, 1620.4. We budgeted $2,000, so it's a little bit under what we budgeted. And I'd like to get it here as soon as we can. So
In addition to being quasi single vendor, we also have the consideration that we'd like to get it done before the barbecue. And if you go back and try to search again and find others, and they may or may not have the proper insurance, they may or may not have a better price. I don't think the price can be that much different. So given that, there is something in the procurement guidelines that say in an emergency situation, which is, again, the question was emergency, to get it done, we probably should go ahead and do it.
Yes, June.
We
So
are
we wait
at
another
our
month.
bid
Forget it.
threshold anyways, right?
What?
This is less than
Well,
our
our
bid.
procurement policy says anything from 1,000 to 3,000 requires a second oral or written quote.
Right.
So I do not have that at this time. Again, like I said, I have
We
no
could
problem defending.
authorize you for this price or less if you wanted to touch base with Kaiser.
Yeah,
I don't know how long that would
I don't even
take.
know if Kaiser does this type of thing.
I
I'm
can
okay
certainly reach
either
out to
way.
them tomorrow before this number gets out there and see what they, if they deal with it. That way we know right off the bat. And if they do, try to get a number from them before this, gets out there. So I have no problem doing that. Then that's an oral quote as well. So if we want to approve it, 1868 or less, if they can, cheaper and they have the insurance and can provide it. No problem with that.
We should compare. We do have time if we have time to compare, that would be probably beneficial.
Okay.
Then again, like Bob said, we really need to act on it. We can't wait until middle of July to do this.
Right.
So it has to be done. Yes,
I kind of agree with Ray that the price range is going to be very close to the same regardless of who comes in.
Probably.
I think it's going to be very close.
probably, but I'm just looking at the responsibility of the board to the
Right.
taxpayer that we do have 2 months. And if we don't just make it a, concerted effort to just call and just verify, want to chop them block?
Right.
I can do that easy enough. So if you want to make a motion to that effect, I'll certainly do that before we order this.
Second.
Who made it?
All in favor?
Oh, at $868.
$1,868.
And that was seconded by Evan.
But,
Chris? Ed?
Okay. Next, our local law, we just had the public hearing on this evening. I'd like to put up for vote the approval for local law number 3, 2014, amending the use within the town of Clermont zoning law. And we should have a roll call on local law, please.
So moved.
You want a roll call?
Yeah, we should do a roll
All
call.
right.
Local laws.
And Councilman Kale?
Yes.
Okay, Councilman Guzman?
Yes.
Yes. Councilman Hempel?
yes.
Councilman Gildersleeve?
Yes.
And Supervisor Stats?
Yes. Local law is adopted. Thank you, Mary. Okay, moving on, supervisor report. Start with the county courthouse. We had a meeting this past week. The courthouse has, we've obviously approved the window replacements on the courthouse. We're waiting for the final design package for the windows to go out to be built. And that's going to take approximately 3 months, to what they say. So the target date for the final completion of the windows, I believe, is September 12th. And that's about what we anticipated when we were looking at this, when they laid out the costs for the upcoming schedule. And we should be in the same ballpark of what we were estimating. It does put out the final completion, obviously. The rest of the building should be completed. They're working on it as we speak. There's punch lists to be completed on it. There's not much left other than the railings on the front handicap ramp. They're being finalized and finished up as we speak, and it's coming out good. The last thing to do is really come up with the paving in the parking lot, which is going to be done by county forces. So probably, obviously, Russo, but whoever does the paving for the county, but that is not in the actual spec bill of the project. So we will be wrapping that up shortly. And that's glad to have that done. It's going to be really beautiful. I haven't been in there since the final punch list they're working on now, but as of last month we went through, it really was nice. Very nice addition. Hopefully there for the right reasons, but hopefully everybody gets a chance to look at it at some point. So glad to get that project done. Pine Haven, that's the one all over the news lately. If you read the latest article, it was put to a committee vote this past week in regards to putting out an RFP for privatizing the home. It was a tight vote. It was 3-3. The chairman of the board had to step in and vote for it to get it to pass. Again, I opposed it. I'm not a fan of this because when you put out an RFP to do something, that means you're really considering and committing to follow through with something. And to me, unfortunately, there's not been enough effort put into trying to save money on the current home. It's something that several supervisors would just like to get out of the business with, unload it, and I just don't agree. There's been many cost savings, prepared by the administrator of the home. He's been presented to the board, and nothing has been implicated or initiated to follow through with any of his savings. It just seems to me like there's no real effort to try to save the home and keep it as a county-run home. And I just disagree because there's many ways to save money, and they just don't want to look at it. So we'll see what happens. It's going to go out for RFP. It'll take a couple months to receive RFPs back from eligible buyers and bidders, and then we're going to look at what details we can put in if we do decide to follow through with the sale, to ensure that the quality is the same, or if not better, for the residents, and what can be done to make it as minimal impact to the people that are affected the most, which is the residents, and obviously the workers as well, but the residents are the main concern. So I'm just, we'll have to wait and see. It's going to take probably 2 or 3 months to get the RFPs out, prepared, get them out, and have any kind of answers before we interview anybody that applies to bid on it. So that's about it at this point. Unfortunately, there's not a lot more to say on that at this point. What else? The airport's been real quiet. I can't think of anything else. I just, I feel very strongly about Pine Haven. I've said that before. I hate to go on about it, but if we have to spend 3 or 4% of the tax dollars to support the home, to help them, and to provide the excellent care for our residents, I certainly don't have a problem doing that. I don't know how many people realize that 40% of your county tax dollars goes to DSS and Human Services, and that's a legitimate number. 41% of your taxes go to DSS to subsidize that department. So, if we have to come up with 2, 3, 4, 5%, I think that we owe it to our seniors. I really do. I feel very strongly. I've said that from day one. They've lived here all their lives. They paid the taxes. They support the community, and then we're going to sell the home because we have to come up with a few percent. It just seems absurd. But
And many of those people, you're not going to really save that much because DSS is going to have to pay for people in other.
DSS has to pay
For
back
Medicaid.
half of what the Medicaid is, which was just about 1.3 million this past payment. So, yeah, they're going to pay that portion of it anyway. But, obviously, if it's just down to dollars, it's going to save money if we don't have the home. And you know what? I can't argue that at this point until I see the rest of the numbers. The union rep has been there trying to ask for the county to include him in the discussions. He's willing to compromise and work with saving some money through the union contract. As of yet, they still have not had a meeting with him. So obviously the intent is not there to really push this to try to make it more economical to run the home. And that's my feeling. And it seems to be proven time and time again. We had a presentation by someone that wrote Mr. Pryor wrote a thing on county government nursing homes that were run by counties. And he came up and had all these statistics on the presentation. I actually have an electronic copy. Maybe we should put that on our website. I could forward that to you. It showed 4 homes that were sold to private, were privatized. Every one of them reduced the staffing. Some of them by 40%, some of them by 11%. They reduced staffing. The time of stay was cut down tremendously. It was much shorter time to stay for residents. I don't know how you get people in and out that quick, but they cut the timing down. They only accept the better clients. Obviously, if you have a need where it's very expensive to take care of, privatization is there to make business, make money. So they're going to only take the ones that they can make the most money on. So there is a selective process on who they admit. And I know there's a law saying they can't do that, but there is. It's a gray area that is how it works. So there's just a lot of things out there, and when it comes to putting the RFP and getting the bids in, I'm going to be looking at it very close and would be criticizing and asking a lot of questions, and see what we can do. But unfortunately, I think I've probably said enough. But I feel very strongly about keeping it as a county home. I don't think there's a whole lot. Well, there hasn't been a whole lot going on in the counties other than that. And I just want to mention that the firehouse is having Clermont Firehouse is having their steak barbecue the 12th. 14th.
Saturday.
Not this Saturday, the following Saturday. There is still time to get tickets up until about this weekend. If anybody's interested, please let me know, or a fireman, or Mary, and we can certainly get you tickets. I believe they're $22 this year. It includes all the food, all the drinks, and the entertainment. So if anybody would like to get a ticket, please, like I said, contact one of us before the weekend. And again, I mentioned the Village Green's coming up, obviously in August, but hopefully we'll get some more people to help out, volunteer. We can always use help. It seems like there's always a short amount of people that do a lot of work, so anybody that can help out, we'd certainly like to have show up, at least attend. We look for a nice turnout every year, and encourage you to come. Before we move on, I just want to just go back to what Bob mentioned before. We did receive one more donation tonight, excuse me, for the park and playground from Clermont Partners, LLC, for $500. So I'd certainly like to thank Diane O'Neill for that donation. And we certainly appreciate anybody that can make a donation, that has made a donation, and that will, consider us for a donation for our park. So again, thank you very much, appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. I'm happy to do it.
Okay. Other than that, let's move on to motion for abstracts.
I move we pay general abstract number 6, claims 144 through 163, and a total of $3,036.85.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Move to pay highway abstract number 6, vouchers number 56 through 66, in the amount of $5,342.21.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, this one, we'll open up for public comment. Communication to the board.
I just get to hear about the abstracts.
That was it? Okay then.
Nice to have you here, George.
Any other public comments, questions, communications from the board?
Yes. I had emailed the board regarding a grant opportunity for parks and play equipment. The due date is Friday. Unfortunately, it's all web-based, so printing out forms for you to sign or anything like that doesn't happen. It's just a web-based application. Most of you responded favorably, so I can do that if you like. There would be 2 questions. A, do we say that we're going to do this as a collaborative effort? And then next would be how much of a match the town would be willing to put in. It would be equipment that they sell, and for an average of about $35,000 for the equipment they were showing as part of the grant program. We can put as little as a 20% match or up to even a 50% match. So it's up to the town board as to how much of a match you would be willing to put in.
There are a couple of questions. Who is actually making the grant? Is it the company that
It's the company
manufactures?
that manufactures.
Okay.
It's a $1 million grant program that they're putting out.
And is this a grant program that goes on year after year, or is it a one-time thing, or?
It looked like they do it about every 3 years,
Okay.
from what I've seen.
The concern I have, first of all, when we get ready to do additional playground equipment, we're going to have to bid. Now, I'm not sure how we bid with somebody that's giving us a restricted grant, if we subtract that from their bid and how we match that up. So that's one concern. The second thing is we're probably not going to do any additional equipment this year, and maybe next year, maybe the year after, because we're going to try and go town-wide, actually multi-town-wide, to raise money, because 3 towns use that field. And so we'll be doing a general fundraiser. The fundraising we've done to date, we've done very well on, but it's been somewhat targeted. A few people that we've asked, and a few people that have come forward and wanted to donate, and we're doing very well. I think we have enough to do what we have in the plan right now, and if there's any left over, it'll just be rolled into the next phase. So I'm not sure that it makes sense for us to go through with that right now. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Is there any date on, like, when they're considering an award date on this? I mean, there's no information on that?
They did not give an award date, they simply gave a deadline. But typically, it's 8 to 12 weeks for most grant programs
Yeah,
to award date.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think, I share your concern as well as far as bidding, how do you bid that out, but, at this point, for us to be able to say we're gonna match funds on a grant that we're not gonna use for the next year or two, it's gonna be very difficult. I think we'll probably let this one pass, and I certainly appreciate it.
But we should certainly keep that in mind,
Yeah.
that when we do get ready to do that, to see if they're doing it again.
Right.
And then next round, if you will, of grant, whether it's an application or letters of intent, it's going to be around December, January. There's a couple that are ongoing. The Golub Foundation from Price Chopper, they say submit anytime, and there's a couple other, I think Stewart's has a program as well. So when you guys are ready, or if you want me to just make sure that in December I have something prepared and we can revisit, that's fine too.
If you could do that, that'd be great, because we're probably more in touch with it than most of us, obviously, so.
Yeah, and again, building the list of, so when it's time, we don't have to spend 6 months searching, we can move with it. I think the thing we want to do now is get the current project done, phase 3, and see how that goes, and if that's, to make sure that that is the type of installation we want to do in the future. I think it will be, but, until we actually do it, we don't know for sure. And then plan our fundraising and grants after that, which, and certainly that will be done in the time frame you're talking about, well before that, it will be in this summer, right?
Right, absolutely, sure.
It's a multi-step process to put this in now. We have to get the border put in and leveled out with a slight 2-inch pitch over the size of the area, and then mark that out so that the holes can be dug, put the forms in for 6 piers for the swings, because they have to match up to the height with the border, and then get backfilled with gravel, and then they get poured, and then we have to put stone over that, and then we have to do the fall surface. So it's a multi-phase process that the highway department, and I think Ray and I'll probably be trying to help to work out with them a little bit also. And so it'll take a little bit of time, but it'll certainly be done this summer. And then we can see how it goes over the winter and look at it in the spring.
And I had one other grant opportunity for you. You were talking about the real property records. The local government, LIMGRIF, local government municipal records improvement fund. Somewhere along there. It's through the state education department.
Do you have some kind of form or that place to go for that? Or is that
ed.ny.gov.
All right,
Yeah,
awesome.
local
We'll bring that
government,
up.
LIMGRIF.
What?
Local Municipal Government Records Improvement Fund.
Okay, I'll certainly bring that up when when I ask her, see if she can look into that for us, and let her find out, she should know as well, so. Okay, very good. Well, thank you very much for looking into all that. Okay, any other comments, communications? Nothing? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
So we'll
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.